if you're wondering why, by the way, that MSNBC loves to trash progressives like Bernie Sanders, just take a look at where their executives are throwing all their money. This story, I don't know how somebody following elections would not know this story. And that is that Comcast has centered so much money around their guy, Biden. Okay? It was Biden. And now I'm wondering, what does he come out a couple of days ago and call somebody who's talking to him a lying dog-faced pony soldier?
Yep.
What in the hell is that? Well, I don't even know what it is. But, okay, so this senile old guy calls somebody who's just asking him a question. She's asking him a question. But MSNBC is so into Bernie and is so into Biden right now because they've spent so much money on him. Tell the story about Comcast.
This is a great story put together by the folks over at Sludge. They do great investigative reporting. And what they found is that Joe Biden, not just in this election cycle, but basically throughout his whole career, can count on Comcast to consistently give him money. It's his seventh largest contributor to his campaign since 1989. They have poured more than $150,000 into Joe Biden. He kicked off his campaign with a Comcast executive right there standing next to him. He is the Comcast candidate, and therefore he is the MSNBC candidate because that's the one they're paying.
Okay, why? Let me get to the whys. There's always a why, isn't there? Okay.
There is.
Comcast wants to destroy net neutrality. They don't want mom and pop to have the same access that they have to the net. Yeah? They don't want that. So from the very beginning, senile man here has made the promise to them, I will do that for you. Get me elected, Comcast, and I will do that. It's an exchange of money. That's all it is, and it's an exchange of money. But they're finding it tougher and tougher to support the guy when he comes out and says things like, little girl, you're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. I don't even know what that means.
No, I think most people had not heard that, unless, of course, Biden did call another person that back in 2018.
Did he?
So this is, I guess, a thing he does. But Biden, throughout his career, has consistently voted with Republicans and against the rest of his Democratic pals when it comes to things like corporate mergers, things that allowed Comcast to purchase MSNBC in the first place.
MSNBC is in so deep on this. You got Phil Griffin telling Joy Reid, telling Chris Matthews, say this, telling everybody, these are the talking points. Don't get away from the talking points. That's why you had people like Cenk Uygur leave the network, Ed Schultz leave the network. I could go on a whole list because they were tired of that little freak, Phil Griffin, telling them what they must say. And this is about money. They have to support this guy, even though he is so far out in left field. They got to support him anyway.
Well, and another thing, though, about this whole Biden MSNBC thing is it's not just that they promote Biden more than they promote everybody else, but they bring on these hacks to trash Bernie Sanders at any given opportunity, absolutely make stuff up. You had Chris Matthews a couple days ago said Bernie Sanders wants to round people up in Central Park and execute them. You had Chuck Todd refer to Bernie's followers as the new brown shirts the other day. This has reached a level of insanity that I wish MSNBC viewers understood.
But Comcast and MSNBC, this is their brand now.
Yeah,
their brand is we will say whatever Andy Luck and Phil Griffin tells us to say without really being a journalist. And these are people we've worked with.
Right.
I mean, I got to tell you something. We have worked with a lot of these people, and we're seeing this,
This isn't who they used to be, but it's who they are now.
They're sending out their flying monkeys. That's what the flying monkeys are on every night trying to get this guy elected. He has zero chance. He's like an old man who's fallen down the stairs. As Van Jones says, he can't get up. It's time for him to use his 911 button, and nobody's told him that he has a 911 button. Johnson & Johnson was hit with another massive verdict last week over claims that their talcum powders are causing cancer. Okay, you've written how many articles about this? You've done how many stories? A friend of mine got this verdict, Chris Placitella, an extraordinarily talented lawyer. He and I used to try cases together in early asbestos days. He hit him $785 million. And so you got Johnson & Johnson that in a day lost $40 billion worth of value in their shares, right? $40 billion. Right. Take the story from here.
Well, this trial, and I think so far J&J's lost every one of them.
They've won two.
They've won two.
Yeah.
But they've been hit for hundreds of, well, I guess at this point, over $1 billion total.
Oh, my God. How about $3 billion?
And so this one's a little bit different because this time Plasatella gets up there and says, you know what, we're going to bring out the chief executive. We have Alex Gorski come and take the stand.
Yes.
And when that jury delivered their verdict, Plasatella said it was obvious they were delivering that verdict of you did this and you're going to pay up directly to Alex Gorski.
Okay, let me talk about this just a second, because I've been in cases where the trial judge treats the CEO like there's some kind of special character that you can't bring into a courtroom. This judge said, you've killed people. Basically, I mean, they've killed people.
Yeah.
They knew asbestos was in their product. They knew that asbestos causes cancer. They had done their own studies that said we're worried about this in the 1950s. They understand exactly what's happening, and nevertheless, they say, well, we don't want to bring our CEO. Our CEO has some special privilege that he doesn't have to come to a court of law. Chris Plasatella said, really? Let's see how that floats in front of the judge. The judge did what the judge was supposed to do. Bring him here, put him under cross-examination, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, and that's what needs to happen in more of these trials as well. We need not just, the scientists or maybe, with some salespeople. We need more executives on the stand so that people can see, one, either that, this cover-up went all the way to the top, or two, they could see what incompetent morons a lot of these CEOs are who have no idea what's happening in their own company. That's what we need to see.
But should a trial judge ever prevent somebody, a plaintiff, from saying, that CEO needs to be in this courtroom? I need to ask that CEO that question about what they knew or didn't know. I need to cross-examine them just like I could anybody else. Where do we get this idea that they have some special dispensation because they're in an Armani suit, they wear a Rolex watch, they drive a Bentley, and they've got an MBA from Harvard? Why is it that we treat them any different than anybody else that has to show up in that courtroom?
Well, because a lot of areas in this country, you have judicial elections, at least at the smaller level as these judges work their way up, that are funded by corporations. And that's the part of the story most people don't even understand, is that local judges, for the most part across this country, are elected. And anytime you have an elected position, you can find corporate money. And they don't have to spend much. They spend $5,000 in an election to buy a judge. And if that judge works his way up, gets appointments across the line, they'll remember that $5,000.
This judge is a real judge.
Yeah.
This is a judge that we would expect to be trying a case like this, who says, you know what, I'm not going to get in the weeds about what we can say or what we can't say. I'm not going to keep you from making public statements about what happened. Farron, thanks for joining me, okay?
Thank you.
This is an important message for our nation's veterans. If you served our country in the military between 2003 and 2015 and you suffered significant hearing loss, you might be entitled to compensation, because the hearing protection you were issued may be at fault for the damage you suffered, but you need to act now. Your time to make a claim might be limited. Learn more at levinlaw.com/earplugs.